Look at the picture. See the skull. Visible Frankenstein controls. The Brain Thoughts broadcasting radio. The Frankenstein earphone radio. The latest new skull reforming to contain all Frankenstein controls.
Welcome back to Frankenstein Control, everybody.
Oh, we're back. A dinosaur story.
We're back in the saddle after our lengthy hospitalization following what we've been referring to as the chocolate incident. Thanks to a graft from a compatible cadaver, I'm happy to report that my tongue has skin again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still awaiting that nasal prosthetic, though. I'm walking around looking like Lord Hordak right now. Which is fitting considering that I'm married to a robot-obsessed woman who occasionally has magenta hair.
That's a She-Ra joke.
Weird how life tends to imitate art.
Like how you're a chameleon person who can imitate anybody.
It's true. I do that.
That is, you do that all the time. I can never be, anytime I'm talking to somebody at work, I can never be sure it's not you.
And that's exactly the way I want you to feel.
Yeah.
Does that make me Glimmer, everyone's favorite character?
You had to do your hair. Your hair's long enough to do it like her new Queen Glimmer thing.
Oh, I haven't seen season 5, actually.
Well, anyhow, speaking of being back in the saddle, instead of a sponsor tonight, we're going to hear a little story.
Oh.
Courtesy of our HVAC unit, which abruptly decided to stop working yesterday and
oh, boy, here we go.
plunged me into my own personal hell.
Literally, it's very hot.
Astute listeners will recall that I don't have AC in my car. Well, now I don't have it at my house either, so there's no escape for me, and our dying world means the Northern Virginia summer is about 8,000 degrees with an evaporated lake's worth of humidity in the air. I didn't know clouds could fall to their deaths, but the air I'm breathing suggests otherwise. I don't do well with heat, is what I'm saying, so if it isn't obvious, I've kind of gone slightly mad from all of this. Which brings us to our tale.
Oh, goody.
I was laying in the dark at 3 a.m. this morning, feeling like I had a fever and was going to throw up. What follows was the involuntary sweat lodge spirit journey I was taken on by my baking brain, which had decided without consulting me that this was better than sleep.
Oh.
This is what I got to experience instead, was coming up with this.
Yeah.
Just this purely stream of consciousness bullshit that I wrote down verbatim. So now I'm passing the savings on to you. Maybe we'll all learn something. It is a parable, after all. Once upon a time, there was a talking horse. For some fucking reason, somebody let the horse into law school where he learned just enough to do a bad job. So, in addition to being a talking horse, he was also a terrible lawyer. One day, a criminal stole the talking horse lawyer, who neglected to tell the thief that he was either of those things, and rode away to a different town. The crook went into the saloon, and the horse figured that since he was in a new area, he might as well drum up some business, so he began advertising his legal services to anyone who'd listen in the street. The people asked him, "Do you have any references? Any former clients we could talk to?" The horse said, "I guess I only have one client right now. He went straight into the tavern after he stole me." The people said, "You just incriminated your own client." The horse said, You're talking to a horse right now, and the part you're surprised about is the fact that I'm a bad lawyer?" Meanwhile, the thief had come out of the saloon and was immediately seized by a town constable who had heard the whole thing. The constable said, "All right, pal, you're under arrest for horse theft." The criminal said, "I just got here. How can you prove that horse isn't mine?" To which the constable said, "Save it, buddy. Your lawyer told us everything." "That checks out," said the thief. So then he went to jail, and everyone quickly forgot about the whole thing because the railroad was just coming to town and restructuring the local economy, and the talking horse lawyer got hit by a train. The moral of the story is, B-Rye can't tell the difference between dreams and reality anymore. And in either case, I delight in wasting 2 minutes of your time. How are you guys doing?
B-Rye seeing ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Yes. More about that soon.
The faces of those he's wronged are rising up before him. All of them are Mongols. Hashtag Mongols.
Taylor, who are we?
We are Frankenstein Control, and we will one day conquer the universe, or at least a little bit more of this table that we're recording at. Hey, I'm your host Taylor Russell. To my right is Ada Ship.
Hi, I'm Ada, and I rule the world.
Oh, well, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I just kind of figured that out a couple days ago.
It showed up in the paper
Really,
trail.
yeah, really just coming to terms with it at this point.
That's what you get for hiring a horse for a lawyer.
Yeah.
And in front of me, as always, is B-Rye.
I'm B-Rai, and I'm a talking lawyer who's also a horse.
Horse lawyer. You have to forgive us. We're all a little zany today because me and Ada had what I could call a cinematic near-death experience.
Yeah.
I seriously slept about like 3 hours last night.
And our minds are addled. Not as addled as poor B-Rai, who is suffering from the heat death of his brain matter. But I believe we lost a fair share of brain cells.
Yeah.
I hear you watched a terrible movie.
Yeah, I might
We
have...
didn't watch a terrible movie. We watched the most terrible movie.
Worse than Atlantic Rim from...
Yes.
It's worse in a way that is different than all of the
Atlantic
all
Rim
other movies are worse.
is just boring. You watch it
That's true.
and you're just like disappointed with
everything.
with the people that made it. You watch this movie and life just kind of starts having a whole lot of meaning.
What was the title of this film?
It's this little film that really didn't do a whole lot. It's called Dolittle.
Oh,
We're starring Robert Downey Jr.
the new one.
Yeah, the new
that
one.
looked horrible.
New
that
one.
everyone thought looked that no one asked for.
Yeah.
Did it feature a talking horse that was also a lawyer?
No, it didn't.
That's surprising.
Because that could have been interesting. And
Or at the very least distracting.
could have had a plot thread that went somewhere instead of just being a exercise in frustration.
The movie that actively infuriates you the farther you get into it is what I would describe that movie.
Yeah, because
I was getting pretty mad at those previews back when we were at the movie and I saw.
Well, you gave up Avengers for this?
Yeah, so if you don't know, Dolittle 2019 stars Robert Downey Jr. as the titular character.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey actually wanted to quit doing the Avengers series so he could make this movie.
Really?
This was his passion project.
That's true.
Yes, this is something that he had in the works for, I think it was like in production for 5 years or something. It was a long production for what actually came of it.
Okay.
And
That's really sad.
And he was the driving force in this. And you'll see why this movie was made quite soon. But as Taylor said, this movie gets worse and worse the more you watch it.
Yes. The longer you're watching, the worse it gets. It's pretty incredible, the ramp up.
Because it ramps up very, very slowly.
Yeah.
Because it starts kind of cute.
It's a slow burning kind of hatred.
Yeah. The intro is like animated.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
And it's really nice.
The animation looks amazing.
Everything's cute in it. It does a pretty decent job of like summarizing the
Just the
the
premise.
story so far, the premise. Dolittle is a doctor and he can talk to animals.
Yes, the
and
standard.
Yeah.
The standard tale.
And he had a girlfriend who was really hot, and she said, "I'm gonna go on the ocean." And
Yeah.
Robert Downey's like, "I'm not gonna go on the ocean." And then
The
she
intro
fucking
says
died.
that she went on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only explanation given.
Okay.
It's just an adventure, and she died at sea.
Oh, like you
And-
do.
Yeah, and that sent him into a depression where he closed the gates to his practice and doesn't let anybody in and just wallows in misery with his animal companions.
that he can talk to.
Yes.
So is he?
And it's not a magical ability to talk. He learned how to do it.
Yes, he learned how to talk to animals. It's not like a magical ability.
Okay, so
Not magic.
wow, that works.
Because, that doesn't make any fucking sense. If you make it magical, it's fine. Because magic is bullshit. You can do whatever you want, and it's okay.
Is that the sequel series, My Little Pony? Magic is bullshit.
Yeah.
Friendship is magic, and magic is bullshit.
Exactly. Abandon all you love.
And, yeah, like... When it's magic, you can just do whatever. But they decided to take the more realistic approach where he learned how to do this, and other people can just learn how to do this. And
No.
but that's the smallest gripe I have with this movie.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah.
So
was he a veterinarian at all, or were the animals a coincidence and he was a human physician?
That was all like in the intro. That just isn't really super explained.
You have to understand, if we're missing elements of the plot or what happened in the movie,
there's entirely
you have to
likely
understand that we might have seen those parts. It's just the movie actively melts your brain and removes your brain cells. It is a vacuum of synapses to which not even light can escape, and it just gets worse and worse the longer you watch it. So there might be huge gaps in our memory of the movie. You'll have to forgive us for not being 100% fair in our critique.
I think we're being pretty fair.
But, yeah. Please,
yes.
Ada,
so
continue.
the movie starts out with this, this, like, father and his two boys.
I want to call him Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
I'm going to call the boy Shia LaBeouf, not because he bears any resemblance whatsoever to Shia LaBeouf, but if this movie took place during the time when Robert Downey Jr. was high off his ass on hard drugs, when he came up with this film, really, he would have been cast by Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, this dad and his hunting for ducks, and the one kid doesn't really want to be a hunter. He's more of he's a lover, not a
He's
killer. A caring soul.
He is. He's a caring soul.
So he intentionally misses this duck they're trying to shoot,
and he ends up shooting a squirrel anyway.
And he shoots a squirrel.
Like an idiot.
From this point, you see your first CG animal.
Because
of course all the animals are CG.
Yeah, they have to be. You couldn't have just made the whole movie that awesome looking CG from the beginning because I don't know, cost too much money. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, you see your first CG animal, it's an abortion squirrel.
Yeah, it's a squirrel, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah, it really is like, while we were watching it, Ada blurted out, oh no.
Literally, this is where it starts. We're in for the ride now, starting early.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Grab the 40 ounces, boys.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Blah blah blah. He shoots a squirrel. He's like, I gotta take it somewhere, and somehow
his uncle and cousin just fuck off.
Yeah, his uncle, like it was his uncle or his dad. It doesn't matter.
His uncle.
It doesn't matter.
His male parental figure.
Yeah.
And his brother are just like, whatever, you take care of the squirrel, and they leave him in the woods, and somehow he finds
Doolittle's mansion.
The Doolittle mansion in the middle of the woods, and it's like, animals welcome. So he's like, okay, I need to get in here. And he does. He gets like stuck in a trap. Some shit happens. This movie moves really quickly,
but also not at all.
Yeah, it's like nothing happens, but it happens really quick.
Animals welcome. Watch out for traps.
Yeah, and you don't really get any chance to
know anybody or care about anybody.
The movie tries to build up character moments, and they
don't feel earned.
They're not earned. Because they didn't put in the work developing these characters to have these moments, and then when they do like try to set something up, it never happens, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, he gets caught in a trap, and then this girl shows up. She's like, "Hello, Susie," and then he's like, "Hello, girl, who will be in the movie a total of 3 scenes, but also my love interest." And then she's like, "Oh, is this Dr. Dolittle's house?" And he's like, "Fuck if I know, bitch." And then all of a sudden, a bunch of animal shenanigans happen. Robert Downey is weird. Robert Downey looks like he did in the early 2000s. Once again, he's like under tables eating. He has like Pee Wee Herman machines feeding the animals.
Yeah,
he's playing chess with a duck. And it's just
which is named Dab Dab.
Yes, the duck's name is Dab Dab, first of all.
And does it dab?
No. Which is a crime in itself.
It is. It's like, as terrible as the whole dabbing thing is like, oh, the kids' memes. I honestly would have. The movie would have redeemed itself.
The movie would have gone up a point.
If they had Dab Dab the duck.
It would have shown itself as having some kind of like
if they had a dab,
self-awareness.
Yeah.
If the Dab Dab duck dabbed.
So anyway, they go into the mansion, and they're like, "Dr. Dolittle, this squirrel is hurt." And then Dr. Dolittle's like, "I don't operate any more customer practice. What are you doing in here? What the fuck are you doing in my house?" Oh yeah, we need to discuss the accent.
Yeah.
We need to discuss the accent.
His accent fucking sucks. You can't tell, like, is he trying to do like a British or Cockney or some kind of like
Scottish,
East
Welsh.
Irish, Scottish Welchness?
So it comes and goes in his weird zone.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like any discernible accent.
Which is all the more aggravating because he was fucking Sherlock Holmes for 2 movies.
So he's Harry from Bebo, and he says, How did you get in here?
You know what? We're gonna do that as Robert Downey's voice from this point forward. Anytime we want to say, implicate that he's talking.
What money?
And like throughout, like not only is the accent bad, but he just kind of mumbles a lot.
Yeah.
So he's never super clear on what he's saying, and he also has
Dr. Doolittle,
he has
the
zero
ASMR nightmare.
Oh, yes, it is.
He has zero enthusiasm in this role.
But it was his passion project.
I know. Well, you'll see why it was his passion. It's like this is his thing. This is something he put millions of dollars into making, and time and effort.
Yeah,
and
just so you know, as a little spoiler alert, all of this movie culminates in why he made the movie, which is at the end of the movie.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get the audience data, because we got a lot to get to. So anyway, the girl that nobody cares about, she's there on behalf of the queen, who...
Isn't she a princess?
You know, yes. She could be a handmaiden.
Some chambermaid.
Yeah, she could be that, but like... she's here. I'm here on behalf of the Queen, Dr. Doolittle. It's time to do your fucking job that the Queen gave you this giant ass house for.
Oh yeah, if you don't save the Queen, you'll lose the deed to the house. And it's like, it's a lifetime deed. And it's like, yeah, the Queen's lifetime. Ta-da! It's like, I guess I gotta do something there.
And that's Robert Downey's line for that scene. And so they go to the Queen place. Robert Downey rides on an ostrich.
And she says, my son has absconded with a prostitute. I need you to kill all her friends with Masonic sex magic.
Wow. Is this like a...
It's a From Hell reference.
I was about to say, is that a reference to From Hell?
Yes.
That actor, God rest his soul. Anyway,
oh, that's true.
He's dead. Bilbo died. Speaking of dying inside, so he gets there and he's like, oh, there's this guy who we kept calling Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
But he's not Simon Pegg. But he looks like Simon Pegg.
He's a Sheen.
Yeah, he's some sort
Martin
of...
Sheen?
No, I don't know. Some sort of Sheen. He's Sheen from
Jimmy Neutron.
Anyway, Simon Pegg...
Ultra Lord Jimmy.
Simon Pegg is like the evil doctor or something. He's Dr. Doolittle's longtime rival. He's like, I can't believe they brought Doolittle here. He's a quack. And then Dr. Doolittle comes over and he's like, and then a bunch of animals do some dopey animal shit, and they figure out the Queen is poisoned with some sort of nightshade from a distant land.
Rare nightshade.
And it's like, the only way to cure her is to get this dumb thing in a faraway place.
Yeah, the only way to cure
is also the same place that my girlfriend died.
Yeah, so their setup now is that they need to get to this island that has this mystical magical fruit that can cure any illness.
It's the Gumu Gumu fruit.
Yeah.
It's gonna get Luffy powers.
The island that it's on has not been truly discovered or charted, except for by his dead wife, dead wife, who was trying to go there on her adventure, what she died in. Mm-hmm. And she left behind a journal, and that should have the coordinates and directions on how to get there.
Okay.
So the movie speeds at this blistering pace.
Oh yeah, and like they get on a boat, and the boy follows along because of reasons.
Oh yeah, he just really wants to go.
The boy whose like family still thinks they left him in the woods and are on ostensibly still on their hunting trip.
Yeah,
he goes back for a second.
Yeah, he goes back in the giraffe. There's like a giraffe. He's like, you need to come with us.
Yeah, it like doesn't even give us time for him to lament being left behind, because he was like, "Oh, want to go on the adventure too?" And the Dr. Doolittle was like, "Fuck no, shut up, and then the kid's like, "No, I guess I'll go back to my family who hates me." And they go back, and the family's like, "We hate you. Go to bed." And he's like in bed, all sad and shit. You don't even have any time to breathe and be like, "Man, this kid's really down on his luck. He had the chance of a lifetime." And there's a giraffe.
Whimsical animals.
Come, Sam. We have to find the Allspark. And then fucking Optimus Giraffe takes him to the fucking boat, and there's a dumb action scene where like they run on a big suspension bridge, and he jumps onto the sail of the boat, and he doesn't break his legs, unfortunately. And they get on the boat, and they find out that there's there's a polar bear who's always cold, and there's a gorilla who's always cowardly, and there's a ostrich who I swear to God he was one actor, but he turns out
the ostrich sounds so much like Billy Crystal, right?
Yeah, the ostrich sounds exactly like
He sounds exactly like Billy Crystal, but it's not. It's just some guy that I guess, is trying to impersonate him. Maybe they tried to get him, and he was like, fuck this shit.
We just need a professional Billy Crystal imitator.
Yeah.
And
Bill
then
Crystals.
I think the smartest animal on the crew was not Dab Dab the duck, but is a parrot.
Yeah.
Who is voiced by Lady, and it's neat, whatever. So anyway, they go on the ocean, and they're getting chased by Simon Pegg, who's like, I'm going to sabotage
Wernstrom.
Exactly. I'm going to sabotage Dr. Doolittle's entire operation here on the ocean, where no one will catch me. Also, brief implications that I poisoned the queen. Haha. And then he starts trying to destroy the boat. Did they get cannonballed at all? Or was it just them being chased by a boat with no actual direct confrontation?
I forget.
Because I don't remember them firing upon them at all. I just remember being like, it's a bad boat!
Yeah.
And they'd be like, we need to get away from the bad boat. And
yeah,
Dr.
they
Dolittle
like...
gets in a fucking diving suit, and he dives in the water, and he starts talking to whales, and the whale's like, sup, Doolittle, how you doing, little? And Doolittle's like, shut up and get in this ring so you can pull my boat, slave. And then it does that, and somehow a whale can swim faster than a sailboat, so it helps them get away from the bad man, from Simon Pegg. And then the scene just dies out and fizzles, and nothing important happened, and nothing was learned.
Yeah.
And
see, like, this is where they try to set up this deal with, like, oh, the gorilla's a coward, and, like, he's gonna give him a task to do, and he has to show his bravery, and he fails, and, like, it's just really ham-fisted because the acting is just not good. So he's like, oh no, I can't do it. Oh, I failed. Oh god. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Have a little bit of subtlety. I know this is a kids movie and we tend to put lower standards on that audience, but like, let's just like put in some effort.
So anyway, after the riveting chase scene, we cut immediately.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite parts because I hate it so much. It's so fucking stupid. They're like the parrot narrates a lot of this, and they're like, and then they got to this island, this like den of thieves and criminals. It's like
I think like the leader of the place was his dead girlfriend's father.
Well, they didn't establish that.
Oh, they didn't establish it yet?
Because this movie...
Did they establish why they were there?
Yeah, because he just knew that's where the journal was.
Oh, okay.
Like
they didn't have the journal this entire time?
No, they're going to get the journal.
Okay.
That's really stupid.
But yeah, the part you like, Dana.
Yeah, they're like, here we are at this den of thieves, and they show this like pretty nice looking set piece.
Yeah.
Like it had a very One Piece vibe to me. Like I was almost excited for it. Like, oh, here's this like cool
the setting
place
was really interesting
that we're gonna see and like see these characters explore.
Like imagine like a Peter Pan-esque sort of landscape where like the mountains are exaggerated and there's like crazy statues in the mountains and there's like a pirate bay and like it looks cool. And then they headed to this island in order to get the journal that they needed to get the thing, and then immediate fucking smash cut to Doolittle and his assistant already in disguise, already climbing 900 feet on the wall of a castle.
Yeah.
And while the narration is happening, they're like, whoa, like slipping, and like, you know, the rock gives way, and Doolittle like grabs the kid's arm and is like, be careful and shit like that. And you're like, dog, we didn't even get time for the narrator parrot to finish, and you're already having peril. Fuck you.
There's just this brief narrated peril where he almost falls off the wall, and the parrot's like, and they tried to get in, and they had some difficulty. Whoa! But they got in anyway, and they're in.
Yeah, and they're just walking around,
and they start
found dead tragically.
Exactly.
And they're like, they tried to negotiate with
found dead in her bathtub.
with the ants that are expert locksmiths, and this is where the humor of this movie tries to kick in and just really, really fails.
Ooh, it falls real flat.
There's like this like Godfather parody where like the ants are mobsters and they're like,
why?
How dare you come to me on my daughter's wedding?
That whole shit.
Like, I need you to pick up this lock.
Like, you think we're saying that as an example?
Yeah, he literally says it.
No, I believe you. I believe you entirely. I'm just
my daughter's wedding. And you're like, oh. And then Doolittle's like, more sugar cubes for you. And they're like, all right, we'll fucking pick the lock.
And he's like using this mediator to negotiate with them, which is a
dragonfly.
No, it's a damselfly.
Oh yeah.
Who refers to himself as a dragonfly. It is so obviously a damselfly. Like the person modeling this was like, I'm just gonna make a damselfly. And they call it a dragonfly the whole time. And like, whatever, insect autism, make fun of me, but like...
Well, no, I support you on this, because I know the difference between the two, because I was obsessed with bugs as well.
Exactly, it's like, too. Anyone that cares about this character is going to be pissed off at you for calling it the wrong thing the entire time.
Isn't it voiced by Tom Holland?
I think
someone in this movie is voiced by Tom Holland.
Yeah, this movie is like star-studded, despite how god-awful the whole thing is.
It was basically the Dolittle movie. Remember when they did all that at the beginning of the Revere pants theft? They did that nauseating montage of all the celebrities singing that song on their iPads, and they made it into one big video.
Yeah,
it's just that.
The screen version of this with CG animals.
It's just that. That's how they recorded all the lines.
So anyway, the damselfly...
Wait, you can't forget. There's this like weird little subplot where the ants are making fun of the damselfly because he's like. He mentions the wedding. It's like, but I'm dating your daughter. And it's like, oh yeah, she's moving in with this scorpion guy. He's way better than you. And I'm just
picturing this. You hear like a distant, you suck.
Yeah,
I wish, but that didn't actually happen.
And that calls in the question of like, are ants and damselflies doing stuff? Is this a valid relationship within the?
Yeah, they're doing weird bug stuff.
The animal kingdom. Can an ant date a scorpion? Is that legal?
Why aren't all the ants female anyway? That's
yeah, they're all men.
Yes.
And then there's like this stuck out to me because it was like a really vivid suicide joke where the damselfly is like, they're like, hey, thanks for your help. He's like, hey, yeah, cool. I'm gonna go bash my head into a brick a few times. And it's like, this is rated PG. That would be like hysterical in a more adult-oriented comedy, but I'm in child mode right now, and that
was jarring.
Yeah, that was jarring and kind of upsetting.
Unwelcome.
Oh, speaking of jarring and kind of upsetting, the tiger.
Yeah, the kid.
So
they break into this area where like
with the ants help.
The bad guy has the journal, and he's like surrounded by all these like lions and shit. And the kid goofs up and doesn't get his journal, and he gets captured. And then they capture Dolittle, and they throw him in prison.
And then they like make him a member of their gang.
No, that's later.
Oh,
that's while Dolittle's in prison.
Oh,
but
okay.
They imprison him.
Join the Aryan Tigers.
Yes.
In jail.
Well, you'll see.
And they lock up Dolittle in the cell by himself, and they're gonna sick this tiger on him. Before the tiger gets sicked on him, though, there's this rabbit with an eye patch that's in like another cell.
It's a hare first.
It's a hare, and
but we'll call him a rabbit because it's funnier and easier.
This hare that like has an eye patch and is talking to Dolittle and is also in prison for some reason.
They imprisoned a rabbit. They put him in a cell and everything.
And it's like he's like taunting him like, why does this? There's never even any talk of like, oh yeah, I remember you from my previous adventures, you asshole hare. He's just some guy that is of his hair that's in prison. It's so fucking stupid. I can't get over it. And it's implied that he's like talking with the other human prisoners because there's no other animal prisoners. And he's like, oh man, I had money running on this and it didn't come out the way I wanted. And it's like, you're a rabbit in prison. What are you betting for? What are you betting with?
He's betting with boy pussy. Moving on.
Ew. That rabbit pussy. Horror. So this tiger
I am the bunny warrior.
This tiger that has been dispatched to
a tiger
to kill Dolittle is apparently one of his former patients. Less in a medical your body's messed up and more of a psychological I need to be your psychiatrist to a tiger kind of deal. And as he's like trying to kill him, he's also having like this weird therapy session as well where he's complaining about his life and like basically how he was neglected as a child and his mother never actually loved him.
My mom whipped me with an extension cord and now they just give me a pumpkin full of hamburger meat.
But it's like
I mean, not far off.
But it's like filled with really uncomfortable jokes about it too. And it was like it felt like I was watching somebody's therapy session with a riff track over it.
Yeah.
Someone's bawling their eyes about how they were abused by a child and
abused by a child.
No, abused as a child. And how their life has been affected, and the whole time there's like whoop, whoop, wacky sound effect, laugh track.
Boing.
It really just made me legitimately uncomfortable.
While all that is happening, Shia LaBeouf is getting integrated into
he's getting indoctrinated into the gang.
And
like
they putting like face paint on him and shit.
They find him.
Like, you are one of us now.
And they just arbitrarily decide, you're one of us now. Like, he didn't do anything. He didn't have any valid interactions with any of these people. He came in as a rival thief, actively and still trying to get what he came here to steal. And they're like, you're our pal, you're one of us. And it's like, why? What did he do to earn this? Why would you trust him?
And then he immediately breaches that trust by freeing Dolittle.
Yeah.
And like later they're like, I can't believe you've done this. He's like, what'd you think I was gonna do?
Exactly.
We're gonna need you to roll up to the street corner and pop one of the Barksdale crew.
And
it turns out the gang leader is Robert Downey Jr.'s dead wife's dad.
Of course.
Yeah.
You let my daughter die. I can't remember what actor it was, but he wasn't Scottish.
I think it's like Antonio Banderas.
Oh my God, you're right. Not since Spy Kids has a more depressing thing happened to Antonio Banderas. So anyway, Antonio shows up and he's like, you let my daughter die on this stupid adventure. Fuck you. And then
Robert Downey Jr., we are probably the same age, but you are dating my daughter, which is creepy.
And then Robert Downey's like, I'm sorry. And then he's like, okay. And lets him go.
Strong man.
Okay, I guess I'll let you go. Yeah. Oh, by the way, it looks like Simon Pegg is coming back to the port. I guess we need to give him a bad time. But first, here's an awkward, horrible orangutan.
Oh my God, this fucking orangutan.
Yeah.
There's the scene that all this happens where their boat gets stolen and the journal gets stolen and Dolittle has just given up. And
the fucking Simon Pegg shows up and he's like, hey, what's up, fuckers? Thanks for the journal, Dolittle. Please, continue to not do anything to stop us, even though you have an army of gorillas.
You have a polar bear and a gorilla. You can just go ape and rip my arm off.
Yeah, but instead, thanks for the journal, bye. Also, I'm in a den of thieves who have just, like, proclaimed that they forgive you or whatever. Fuck it. Whatever. Journal gone. Simon Pegg and his boat gone. Dr. Dolittle, he's despondent. He's reeling. He's giving up.
He's giving up. He's like, you guys don't need me anymore. You're all over your problems that we definitely didn't establish. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, the polar bear and the ostrich are getting along. Whatever.
They weren't before?
No, the gorilla it's got over its fear. Something else happened, and then it cuts to this orangutan that is somewhere. It's not like anywhere in relation to any other character, and it's got like the Outback Australian hat. I forget what they call.
Oh,
and he's like, "Who wants to dance?" And then they cut back to Dolittle, and he's like, well, I can't help him. And there's never any more mention of this character. You don't see him in the scene. You don't see him like walk off. You don't see him walk around. It's just like this weird Family Guy cutaway gag that wasn't even a gag. It just sort of happens.
I'm kind of now feeling like my
your fever dream caught up.
My fever dream was relevant to this film.
And then almost immediately after that, there's a scene where the bandit leader is like, like you did love my daughter, so I guess in her memory I'll help you out. I'll give you this boat so you can track down Simon Pegg and get her journal back, because that's the only thing I have left of her. He's like, okay. And they get on this boat that they give him, and they're looking around like it's all musty and gross, and you hear this voice off in the distance. It's like, hey! And they like pull this cover off of a guy that's like in the stocks, and he's like, my name's Paul, and that's it.
What?
And then there's a guy on the boat in
stocks, and he introduces himself.
The stockade,
the punishment stocks.
The pillory.
Pillory, They put your head and hands in. And he's like, I'm Paul! And then he's never touched upon again.
And then they're at the island that they needed the journal to get to.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yeah, they're just like...
So they found it without the journal.
I guess,
they tracked down Simon Pegg.
Yeah, they were following the boat.
Give it that, but I mean, he seemed fairly far off.
Yeah.
And Simon Pegg would have seen him following him. So, like, why do they act surprised when they get
You can't
to the
really
island,
be stealthy in a boat.
When they get to the island first, and then Simon Pegg ambushes them, and they're like, "Oh, gotcha this time."
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
The movie does the same thing again, where it's like, they got to the cool-looking island. Oh, look, they're already 40 feet up a cliff and already at their destination. It just moves at a blistering pace.
Emphasis on blisters.
Yeah, because there's a very special scene coming up.
Oh, God.
The reason this movie was made.
Yes, the reason the movie is made is coming, folks. We teased it earlier.
Some kink of Robert Downey's.
Oh, well, you'll see, B-Ryan.
Yeah.
We'll all see.
It's his passion.
Oh, yeah, his passion.
They're just suddenly up the mountain, and they're in this cave, and they're like, it's got to be around here somewhere. And then Simon Pegg is like, oh, not so fast. I got you here. You got here before me somehow, even though you were trailing me. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Oh, look. A dragon.
Yep. A dragon. A dragon shows up.
A dragon shows
up. Shows up and eats Simon Pegg. A dragon shows up and eats Simon Pegg.
Dragon Ex Machina?
Yeah, whoa, there's plenty in this Machina, I'll tell you that much.
And the dragon's like...
The firebending masters?
Oh, you'll find out.
The dragon's talking to him, and she's like, how dare you get here? You're not supposed to be in this sacred place. It's like, we just wanted to fruit.
Is that Robert Downey?
Yeah.
We just want the fruit.
And she's like, and like... like her stomach grumbles or something. Like she like coughs and shows some kind of sickness, and then like Dolittle looks over and he sees this like skull of another dragon, and they're like, her lover's gone.
And then Robert Downey's like, just like me. Clearly we can resolve our problems because the theme of the movie is like carrying on after a tragedy in your life, and this will be reflected
I guess
in the struggle with this dragon. Nope.
Nope.
It's time for Dragon.
It's time for why this movie was made.
Yes.
Dolittle immediately turns into veterinarian mode. He hops into action and is like, there is something wrong with your stomach. Like she gets on her side and he like feels it. Like, you have blockages inside you. We need to clear the blockages.
Oh no!
And he goes behind the dragon.
He gets the polar bear to push on her stomach. He goes behind her and digs into her butthole.
What?
To pull things out of it.
And he pulls suits of armor.
He pulls out suits of armor. He pulls out bones.
And then he pulls out.
No, at one point there is a loud, like, cacophonous fart that the dragon does that blows him away. And it's like, whoa! It's like his hair's been blown back and everything's like, oh no! Oh,
this is a nightmare.
Like, oh, PU! It stinks. The dragon farted in your face.
This is horrific.
Screen shot into this.
Put it on the screen now.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Make the thumbnail.
Because I should say it wasn't just Taylor and I. It was my girlfriend Jen as well watching, and we had to pause this movie so much to get through it because we had so many questions, so many things we needed to like unpack. It's like an hour and a half movie. It probably took us about 3 hours to get through. At this point, when the farting started, is when I almost had a stroke, and I had to get up, and there were no pillows to scream into, so I just buried my face in Jen's stomach and just screamed at the fact that I just saw Robert Downey Jr. get farted on by a dragon that he's just digging in the asshole of. In a PG-rated movie that was released to theaters. This wasn't
recently.
This wasn't some like shock image that was on Fur Affinity or something that somebody tricked me into watching. This wasn't
Church of Fudge.
This was a hundreds of millions dollar production.
Many people allowed this to happen. People with influence.
And you don't know the half of it because this movie went through a lot of rewrites. And
that scene made it?
That scene made it through every rewrite, through every edit. The dragon fart asshole digging scene prevailed. And
now who's in charge of this production?
Yeah, who's in charge of this production? Robert Downey Jr. You cannot convince me otherwise that the reason this movie was made is because Robert Downey Jr. has a fetish for dragon farts and dragon ass play. and he wanted to mix him with some voyeurism, and he wanted to live out his sick little fantasy where everyone can see it. He no longer content to simply go on furaffinity.org and look at pictures of dragons doing things with their butts. He said, no, I need to involve Warner Brothers in this. I need to get millions of dollars. I need to be on the screen where I see myself get ass blasted by a large fantasy winged reptilian.
Ada, you didn't even mention the best part.
Yeah, because we paused it at this point, and we had our own mental breakdown when we processed it. And we're like, okay, we're ready for this. We can do this. We can proceed through the movie.
There's only like 10 minutes left. We can finish this.
We press play again. They're like, oh no, there's one last thing that's got to come out. There's still a blockage. As a fully intact, clean set of bagpipes erupts from the butt and tackles Dolittle to the ground. And the absurdity of not just bagpipes, but clean bagpipes. I would almost be like less disgusted if it were covered in like dragon goo.
You'd be less disgusted if shit was involved.
Yes,
but the fact that it's clean implies that the dragon put it up there.
It's clean.
Somebody plays these bagpipes, don't they?
It's intact.
Somebody plays them. Tell me that happens.
No, nobody plays
really?
them.
You know what? There's probably a deleted scene where that useless orangutan plays the bagpipes.
Yeah.
But they cut it out of the movie because like, this is not our vision.
Mm-hmm.
Just Robert Downey Jr., just like with all serial killers, there comes a point where fantasy doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
And they have to start acting on their desires.
Yeah.
And
they can't keep it in their head any longer.
He made us all, or he made you, I'm never watching this, he made the two of you and Jen part of his sick little game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were played. We were played by Robert Downey Jr.
I feel dirty. I feel used.
Oh, and then for some reason they get the fruit. I don't know how.
Yeah, the dragon's like, oh yeah, thanks for clawing all that shit out of my asshole. Here's the fruit. Go back to England. Oh no, they're gonna stop us from giving her the fruit because they want the queen to die. Also, like this is happening on an eclipse for some reason. It doesn't matter. They give
it really doesn't. I forgot there was an eclipse.
Yeah, they give the juice. They give the queen the fruit juice. The kid, it like helps it at the last moment, like puts it in her mouth. They're like, oh, I'm better now. Fuck you, Simon Pegg. Fuck you, Chancellor Dickwad. You're out of my court. I had a stick bug listening the whole time, and people are gonna trust me because I'm talking to a stick bug, and I'm clearly an insane person. Mm-hmm. And everything's fine, and the chambermaid girl is like, I love this boy that helps for some reason, even though we've had 20 minutes total of interaction in our life. How about a kiss?
For the majority of the adventure,
yeah.
Didn't see him do any of the brave things.
And it's just like, okay, the movie's over. Here's some credits. Here's like some pictures of the only other picture of the orangutan.
Wow, it's exactly what you described. It's actually worse. That's worse. That looks worse than I pictured it.
They put him in the credits despite having about 3 seconds worth of screen time. Yep. He's in the credits more than he's in the movie. And the movie's over. Good night. Robert Downey Jr. had his just biggest nut he's ever had. And it's all at our expense. He made this multiple $100 million bomb so we could all just see it and just can't get the image of dragons farting out of our head.
We will die knowing we watched this movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, that is a net loss.
I'm not sure
Robert Downey Jr.'s Dolittle robs your life of meaning.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel worse now or when you recounted the entire plot of Hereditary to me.
Yeah, this needs to be branded as a horror movie.
Yes, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dolittle is a horror movie. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. This is the work of a traumatized and diseased mind.
Yeah.
And now we all know that Robert Downey Jr. is fucked up.
And he's officially canceled.
Yes, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of Frankenstein Control. We are canceling Robert Downey Jr. tonight. Robert Downey Jr. is no more. He died on the set of Iron Man in a reanimated corpse. Fueled by fur fetishes, came to life and took over him.
Yep.
That's what happened.
Then he went home and played as an Argonian in his heavily modded Skyrim.
So yeah, now that we've canceled Robert Downey Jr., I think it's time. Ada, I'm feeling a little grumpy. I got some blockages and some bagpipes to take care of. Can you help me out here?
Sure.
Oh, thank God.
I've seen the worst. Why not?
All right, here we go.
Now even you know I am a menace. I hand you the secrets to save the entire human race and the entire universe.